Hey everybody, welcome back. And today we're going to be beginning a 4-part series we're going to do over the next few weeks. This is something that a lot of people have been talking about on social media and always asking for, especially if it is your first time with a toddler going to Disney World. So today we're going to be covering what are the best rides for children, toddlers, infants, when you're going to these. We're going to break down each week. We're going to talk about one park each week. Today, obviously, we're going to talk about the most popular park that parents like to take their children's, which is Magic Kingdom. So we're going to be breaking down all the best rides for the kids there. So let's hit the intro and let's get straight into it. So if you guys are new here and you enjoy the content, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and don't forget to let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about our selection here today. So, rides for children at Magic Kingdom. This is something that you would think is not really a whole lot, but the one thing you have to remember about Disney World is about 90% of the rides that are at Walt Disney World do not have a height requirement. So, as you can probably gather, this is going to be a bit of a lengthy video. Some of the rides we're going to kind of bunch together because some of the rides are extremely similar to one another, such as the Dumbo ride versus Magic Carpets of Aladdin versus Astro Orbiter. These three rides are right around made exactly the same way. They are exactly the same ride. They're just themed differently. So we're going to put all of these rides in the same category. Because there's no reason to talk about these individual rides if they're literally the same ride, just themed differently. We're going to be assuming, on average, children between the ages of 0 and 5. So we're going to cover a lot here, so we're going to try to get started. So let's get started with the most popular. As you've been seeing in the background, probably the most popular ride for newcomers is what you're seeing right now, which is Jungle Cruise. Jungle Cruise and Peter Pan's Flight are two rides that will be completely essential, especially two of the most popular rides at Magic Kingdom. If you rope drop Magic Kingdom and you have early theme park entry and you're not going to be using Disney Genie Plus, I would highly recommend going to one of these two rides first. But the first time on a trip, when we take our first trip, this is the first ride that we ride above all others because Asher really, really enjoys this ride. He enjoys the skipper, the way the skipper talks to the families and the children. He enjoys the environment. He enjoys seeing the other animals and all the little animatronics that are there. He's just very, very interactive when it comes to this ride. This is definitely something it's a boat ride. It's nothing too crazy. You can take small babies on it, hold them in your lap, and show them this and show them that. And I feel like it's a really great thing to get kids to become interactive and really immersed in what's going on here. So Jungle Cruise is definitely a good one. We're going to move along next to the next one, which is, like I said earlier, Peter Pan's Flight. Peter Pan's Flight is suspended. It is a dark ride. So if you have some children that might be afraid of the dark, I would kind of be a little concerned of it. It's not like completely pitch black, but there are parts of it where it is very, very low light. I might want to remind you that this ride is suspended. So it is probably, if I had to guess, anywhere between 20 and 25 feet suspended in the air. Now, my son has not been afraid of heights since he was born. He's been riding rides since he was about 7 months old. So being up 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 feet in the air is not a big deal for him. We've asked him multiple times if he's scared of heights. He says no. But if this does not apply to your child, then I would kind of recommend it to kind of really, really weigh the options and see what you make the best choice that you feel is going to be best for your child. If they're afraid of heights and you feel like they're going to freak out on it, I would skip it. If you feel like no matter what, they're afraid of heights, time for them to face it and get over it and don't tell them about it, you can do that too. But you should make the best decision that you can between you and your child. Don't let what anyone else says deter you because this is your vacation. This is your child and you know what's going to give them the most fun and give you the best bang for your buck here. So the next ride we're going to talk about is called It's a Small World. Now, of all the rides in the creation of mankind in our beautiful, most toxic world, if there was ever one ride that I never would want to be stuck on, this is the ride. Because literally, it is great for kids. When we took Asher on it last year, he was asking this, he was asking this, he was pointing, he was very, very interactive. At the time, he was 3. This year when he goes, he'll be 4. But I feel like it's really great for kids, but kind of keep in mind, you want to caution and use patience here, because you are literally hearing the song It's a Small World in different languages for about 10 minutes straight. I swear to you, this is not the ride to get stuck on. I would not ride it just because of that. It's probably a one and done, to be honest, because there's just so much there at Magic Kingdom to do that your kid's not just going to be like, I want to go back and ride It's a Small World. If they do, then, there's nothing wrong with that. It sucks for you if they do, but just kind of keep that in mind. You got to be mindful, okay? Think positive, because there have been times where people have gotten stuck on this ride and sat there for 10 minutes and the ride stopped, but unfortunately the music does not share the same concept as the ride. So just kind of keep that in mind. It's a good ride for kids. It's a great ride for kids, but just kind of keep that in mind. Next, we're going to move along to the 3 rides I talked about earlier that have 0 height requirements on these. My friend Mike said that he doesn't like riding these because he says that they're not tall people friendly, although I completely disagree, because I ride it with Asher every single time we go, and that is the Flying Dumbo ride, which is the most infamous ride there, I think, the Magic Carpets of Aladdin, and Astro Orbiter. These rides are very, very simple. There's nothing to it. They just go round and round, up and down. Nothing really too crazy. If you have a kid that's scared of heights, then I would probably do Dumbo the Flying Elephant and Magic Carpets of Aladdin, but not do Astro Orbiter. Astro Orbiter is probably the highest point ride, aside from Tron Light Cycle Run, at Magic Kingdom. It's way up there. We didn't get an opportunity to ride this last year because, well, we were pressed for time and didn't get around to it. This is not on, you cannot reserve Disney Genie Plus for this. So it's something that you would probably have to do, kind of use your best judgment based on which time of the year that you're going on your trip. I think we usually talked about it rope dropping it one morning just to go ahead and get it out of the way. Just because, he loves these rides. He loves heights and loves being up there. So I really don't see it as a really, really big problem here. The next ride we're going to talk about is Mad Tea Party. As you probably figured out, this is a teacup ride. Now, if you're going during party times, such as Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party or Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, I can't really say much for the Christmas party, but I do know the Halloween party does a Halloween-themed overlay with really cool lighting, and got characters outside, usually Tweedledee and Tweedledum and the Queen of Hearts. They're all out there right around this area here because it's all themed in the same area. Asher loves riding teacups. His most favorite ride is teacups out of every ride he's ever ridden. So it's definitely something that we're going to be doing this year. We don't have any footage from the Halloween-themed fire tea party, but we're definitely going to get some this year. So definitely something to think about. Another great ride. This ride is indoors. We're going to get into some of these indoor rides that are really, really good. The first one being the Mini Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. This is an indoor ride. It has an interactive queue, so if you decide to use the standby line, there are a lot of interactions and stuff that your child can kind of keep a part of to kind of keep them entertained while waiting in this insane queue line. Sometimes the ride queue line can get really long, but other times this is a moving queue, so it usually moves in and moves out fairly quickly. So if you see something that says an hour, you can probably expect to wait in line for probably about 45 minutes to an hour right there at. So the next one, we're going to move over to Tomorrowland to Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin. Asher loves this ride. It's a tie between this ride and the next ride we're going to be talking about on our list. He loves this. It is a shooting game. Similar to Justice League at Six Flags Over Texas, where you're kind of, shooting and then you get a score. They do snap your photo in here. I don't exactly know where the photo is, but I do know last year we rode this ride like 3 times. So Asher loves it. It is kind of dark, but the lighting and the psychedelics of the lights really, really make it great for smaller children. If you have infants that you want to take on this ride, it's completely fine. You don't have to engage in the shooting with them or anything. I think the infants would just have fun looking at the lights and looking at the different colors that are here, because the different colors, they pop off, they really sound good. And children, when it comes to anything colorful, especially in little babies, they're always attracted to it. So I feel like it's really great for them. As well as the next one on our list, which is Under the Sea with The Little Mermaid. Asher loves this ride so much that out of the 3 days we went to Magic Kingdom, we rode this every single day, sometimes more than once. But as of now, early this year, they brought back Ariel, where you can see her at her grotto, which is exactly next door to the ride. She wasn't there last year. Ariel is one of his favorite characters. I don't understand why. He has more female characters than male characters, but that's beside the point. But they're right next door to each other, so you can meet Ariel in her grotto and then have a lightning lane or whatever, and then jump over there and ride the ride. Or you can do it vice versa, whatever your kid wants to do. Kind of something to kind of keep that in the air. This queue line is partially indoors, partially outdoors. But this is a moving queue. If it says 45 minutes to an hour, expect to wait about half of that. If it's 45 minutes, I would expect to wait about 30, because like I said, the ride cars that you sit in are literally moving on a conveyor. So this one, there's so many others where it's such a moving queue where you move in, you move out, like Spaceship Earth at Epcot. This one is the same way. The cars never stop unless something's wrong with the ride. So just kind of keep that in mind. The next one we're going to talk about is Pirates of the Caribbean. Pirates of the Caribbean is a dark ride where you ride in a boat and you see, Captain Jack Sparrow and the pirates and everything like that. It's a really great ride. Asher never really did well with really, really dark rides. I kind of want to caution you if you have kids that are not accustomed to large bangs and booms and darkness at the same time. This is a dark ride, a dark, dark, dark ride, and there are a lot of sporadic loud noises of cannons firing off. So kind of just keep that in mind when you're really measuring the pros and cons, as if you should or should not take your child on there. If you feel like they're going to freak out because of loud noises, it's probably not a good idea. A couple of years ago, we took Asher on a similar ride to this at Six Flags Over Texas. He actually got so scared he bit down on me. So just kind of keep that in mind. If your child doesn't have teeth, you're probably good to go. Or if you just feel like they're going to freak out and it's going to ruin your day, I would probably skip it. But if they're not afraid of darkness and they don't care about the loud booms, then they will definitely have a blast on this ride, especially in the queue line during the Halloween party where they've got actual people in the interactive queue that's there. Another one we're going to talk about is Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. This is something Asher has not ridden yet, but will get the opportunity to. There is a height requirement on this ride of 38 inches. So if your child is 38 inches, they will be allowed to ride this ride. This, by no means, this is not an intense ride for children or anyone. This is a very, very fun ride. There are parts of the ride where you will see the seven dwarfs singing the song that they sing. You'll see Snow White dancing with some of the dwarfs at the end of it. It's a really, really great. I think the really layout of this ride is really good, because there's part of it that's a roller coaster, and then the ride slows down and you get to see the animatronic seven dwarfs there, and then you go back into a roller coaster themed, and then at the end of it you get to see Snow White animatronic dancing with some of the. So they kind of throw in, okay, it might be scary for some children, but hey, look, there's the seven dwarfs right there, and hey, look, there's Snow White at the end. So I feel like they kind of mix that in there to kind of keep smaller children that are doing this for the first time from really, really losing their brains here. Another one we're going to talk about is the Barnstormer. This was right there, right next door to Dumbo, the flying elephant. This is a great starting coaster for any child. There is no height requirement for this ride, I don't believe. It is great. Asher rode it twice when we were there. Once he rode it in the daytime, and he rode it again at the Halloween party. There is a 35-inch height requirement for this, so kind of just keep that in mind. But you will have to ride with your child if they are, under 35 inch. If it's your child's first time riding, you're going to want to ride with them, okay? Because you don't want them just saying, here you go, and then freaking out and you not being there. You know how kids are. So just kind of keep that in mind. It's a great starting coaster. It might be a little bit on the fast side, but again, if you really just want to have fun with your kid and get them used to riding roller coasters, I feel like it's a really good starting coaster here. Next one is Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. This is Walt Disney World's Mine Train. Nothing too crazy. It's not intense by no means. There is a 40-inch height requirement for this, so if your child is under 40 inches, they will be ineligible to ride. So you just have to play the waiting game and see how all this plays out. We've ridden this quite a few times, and I have to tell you, there's nothing really scary about this ride. It's a great ride, especially in the heat of the day. I kind of want to remind you, if you're going during the summer, I would definitely want to use Lightning Lane for this. Because the outside standby line in the heat is very, very unforgiving. The indoors part section of the queue line has zero ventilation whatsoever. So even if it's hot, you're going to be out of the sun, but it's just going to be so humid in there. So I would definitely make sure to bring you some hydration when you get ready to wait in line for this, if you're going to be there for an extended period of time. The wait time for this ride can get anywhere upwards of 120 minutes to even higher. When I went past in December, they had a wait time of 280 minutes. So if you really want to know when's the best time to ride it, this will be a great time to utilize your Disney Genie, which is free, and it'll tell you what the best time of the day to ride it is for your allotted day, no matter what time of the year that you're going. Next one we're going to talk about is one that we did at the Halloween party that I kind of wish we had done earlier, which is Tomorrowland Speedway. Anyone that's ever been to a theme park ever has seen some of these rides, although Disney World does it a lot bigger and a lot better. This queue line is long-ish, but you have to remember that you're usually only fitting 2 people per car. So when you're fitting 2 people per car, these cars are relatively a lot of cars, upwards between 25 and 30 cars that they're going to be using. So if you were sitting 2 per car, 25 and 30 per car, each ride cycle is going to fit anywhere upwards of between 50 and 60 people. So if you've got 200 people waiting in line, then you're roughly going to have probably about a 15 or 20 minute wait. The line will look long, and because it looks long, people usually try to stay away from it. But you have to keep in mind, you have to be mindful that these things there is a lot of cars. And so we really didn't have to wait that long. We were at the Halloween party and we rode it. We only waited upwards of like 10 or 15 minutes, and the line was completely insane. So just kind of keep that in mind. It's great for kids. I always let Asher drive, and then I control the pedals there. He's not the greatest driver, which is why he will never have a license anytime in the near future. But it's always great to let him go and have fun. He does the same thing at the antique cars when we go to Six Flags Over Texas as well. So always great for small children. You could even, if you have infants, you can set them in your lap when you're driving the car and stuff. Let them steer it. It'll still be fun for them either way. Going back into Tomorrowland, still in Tomorrowland, we're going to talk about the People Mover. Now, this is a ride for all ages. Want to touch base on this, the Tomorrowland Speedway. You cannot bring infants on there. They have a 32-inch height requirement. I'm not sure if that is to ride by themselves or not. Asher was over 32 inches last year, so we didn't really know. So let me know in the comments one way or the other. Tomorrowland Transit Authority People Mover, we did not get to ride last year. I want to keep want to have you be mindful. The Tomorrowland People Mover and the line for Astro Orbiter are literally about 36 inches apart from each other. They are literally right there. The Astro Orbiter queue line leads to an elevator that goes up on top of there, whereas the People Mover, you go upstairs. So kind of keep that in mind. The People Mover rides around Magic Kingdom. So we've got another ride we're going to talk about that does exactly the same thing. So it'll be a really good, relaxing, ride to just ride around and, see the park and see the castle and see all this stuff. It's a very relaxing ride. So definitely something to get into. Also, a similar ride to this will be the Magic Kingdom train that came back last year. I believe it was roughly right before or directly after Fantasmic came back to Hollywood Studios. We were able to ride the train completely around there. It does make periodic stops. So if, for example, you got into the park and you wanted to get to Adventureland really fast, you could easily jump on the train if there's no line on it, and you can ride the train to Adventureland or wherever. I'm not exactly sure on their rules for strollers. If it's anything like any of the other trains we've ridden, you usually have to leave your stroller in the train station. And if that is the case, then you can always ride the train 360 degrees all the way around, and it will end right where it started. Asher loves riding the trains. We usually do it at like a later time of the day when most people are trying to do this and do that. So definitely something to think about. Kids always love riding trains. You're never too young to sit there and ride trains, okay? The last one we're going to touch base on is the carousel. The carousel is right there in the middle of Fantasyland. You can't miss it. And then you've got the Sword in the Stone right out front of it. Asher's been riding these things since he was a small baby. He doesn't too much care for them now, but everyone wants to have their child ride a carousel at some point in time. We can't make a list for children without including this. Yes, small infants, you probably will have to ride with them, but I mean, it's just part of it. It's nothing really too crazy. The horses go round and round and up and down. This thing moves pretty quickly compared to some of the ones that we've been on at, like Six Flags Fiesta Texas, Six Flags Over Texas. This one goes pretty quick. As you can probably imagine, the lines for this will get pretty exponentially long, but just want to keep in mind of how many horses they have on these things and how many people are going to be going per cycle. So even though if there is a long line, the long is going to get cut in half. After about 2 cycles, you'll almost be at the front, if not already there. So kind of keep that in mind. If you're going during a busier time of the year, just keep that in mind and just use your best caution when it comes to finding the best time to ride it. I'd recommend using Disney Genie for the best time. I really think the wait times for this thing is going to be average anywhere between 30 and 45 minutes. During the busier times of the year, it can get upwards of an hour to 60 to 90 minutes. So just kind of keep that in mind. And the last thing we're going to talk about is fireworks. Fireworks. You need to really ask yourself, is fireworks important during my trip? Are the kids going to enjoy fireworks? Do they not like fireworks because of the loud noises and the loud music and everything that's going to be going on? You really have to really discern this for yourself to figure out what's going to be the best course of action here. Asher doesn't too much care. My son doesn't really care for fireworks shows. Usually what we do is we show him each show one time when he's there. Usually when I record fireworks shows, I let him sleep, and he will literally sleep through the show. So if you want to see the show and you want to, kids, if you want to take advantage of, not making the fireworks a requirement for you, then all of the hundreds and thousands of people that will be there watching the fireworks show, you can be off riding something else, waiting in line to ride something else, and taking advantage of the shorter wait times of some of these rides during the fireworks. The fireworks, you don't have to see the fireworks, but if it's something that you want to do, then by all means you should do it. But I want to want you to keep this in mind. If you plan on getting something up close to the castle, you're going to need to be there anywhere between 90 minutes to 120 minutes prior to the show. We usually are there 2 hours before the show starts, but we're usually eating dinner while we're there. Last year when we recorded Enchantment, we were there 2 hours when we were in the hub, and I think we were there an hour before the show started when we were recording out there by Casey's Corner and everything else like that. So just kind of the closer you're going to get to the castle, the further away from the show you have to be. So kind of keep that in mind. If I left anything out, let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much. This is our video on best rides for kids at Magic Kingdom. And next week we'll do one on Epcot. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up on the video, and we will see you guys in the next one. Peace.